Andrew Hoyle/CNET The OnePlus 6 got its big unveiling at a London press event Wednesday, riding a wave of anticipation, carefully tailored hints on social media, and a few unplanned leaks. With this latest offering, the company hopes that its relatively affordable flagship will lure people away from expensive marquee phones like the Galaxy S9 and iPhone X. Known primarily by Android enthusiasts, OnePlus is based in China, and its OnePlus 6 is the company's 7th flagship. Though it is the most expensive OnePlus phone to date, it still costs hundreds of dollars less than its high-end competitors. OnePlus 6, bigger screen, glossy look and an optional notch. Among the most significant updates to the OnePlus 6 is the notch that sits at the top of its display. In an exclusive interview with CNET, OnePlus co-founder Carl Pei proclaimed the OnePlus 6 as the company's boldest design yet. The phone will be available online from May 22nd and you can nab it in 3 different finishes. Though it's about $40 to $50 pricier than last year's 5T, its sub-$530 starting price still makes it a competitive buy. US, UK, Australia, converted 64GB $529, £469, 700 Australian dollars, 128GB $579, £519, 770 Australian dollars, 256GB $629, £569, 835 Australian dollars. OnePlus 6 has a big screen and a notch. The OnePlus 6 has a 6.3-inch screen, or, to be more specific, a 6.28-inch screen. It's bigger than last year's OnePlus 5T, which had a 6-inch display, even though the phones are actually about the same size. That's because the OnePlus 6 now has a notch, meaning the top sides of its screen have been pushed all the way to the edge. Phone notches are a point of contention, especially among Android users, who argue that its distracting presence far outweighs the advantage of a small increase in screen real estate. With this notch, the OnePlus 6 joins the iPhone X, which popularized the look despite not having been the first to have it, the LG G7, Huawei P20 and others. The OnePlus 6's notch houses an in-ear speaker, front-facing camera and LED notification light. Josh Miller/CNET Pei insists that the notch is the best thing we can do for our consumers and allows for the OnePlus to give the phone a bigger screen without increasing its overall size. The notch houses the phone's front-facing camera, in-ear speaker and signature LED notification light, which you can still customize for alerts. Like LG and Huawei's phone, you will have the option to hide this notch with a software update. This update will blacken the sides of the notch so you can have a more traditional-looking alert bar. Now playing, watch this. OnePlus 6's bigger screen comes with a new notch, few design surprises and still not fully water resistant. OnePlus claims that the OnePlus 6 is more water resistant than past iterations. But because it's not IP certified for water protection, that means you can't go ahead and dunk it underwater for any notable amount of time. Instead, the company claims the phone can survive a couple of drops here and there from the rain or an overzealous sink. This is kind of a bummer. Although making the phone splash-proof instead of fully water-resistant may help keep costs down, it means you still have to be careful with the phone around pools, beaches and the like. The phone may be able to survive a few drops of water, but don't submerge it underwater. Josh Miller / CNET. Overall, the phone looks similar to last year's, except it's now got vertically stacked and centered dual cameras on the back. But there are subtle design notes that aren't apparent at first glance. For instance, the phone's back is now made out of Gorilla Glass 5, rather than metal. Also, the two black variants, the glossy mirror black and the matte midnight black, both have hidden accents. The mirror black has an imperceptible drop shadow on the OnePlus logo, while the midnight catches the light in a unique S-curve. There is also a third white and rose gold model, which will be available later, on June 5th. See what it's like to use Android P for yourself. Overall, the phone feels sturdy and comfortable to hold, thanks to those thin edges. But it's not nearly as comfortable as narrower phones like, say, the G7. And while it's a drag that the phone isn't fully IP certified, we all know where exactly the line is drawn with waterproof protection. At least it's a bit more durable against water than in years past. Dual rear cameras with image stabilization. When you look at the specs, the OnePlus 6 doesn't seem to stray from the OnePlus 5 and 5T. You get a dual 16-megapixel lens and a 20-megapixel telephoto shooter for bokeh-style portrait photos. But there are two important differences under the hood. The first is that the main camera's 16-megapixel sensor is 19% larger, which will let in more light and in theory should help brighten up and sharpen your pictures. The OnePlus 6 now has optical image stabilization. Josh Miller / CNET. The 16-megapixel camera also has optical image stabilization, a feature OnePlus fans have been long requesting. With OIS, your photos and video recordings should be clearer and steadier. Having OIS is also useful for shaky hands, considering the phone can now shoot slow-mo video at up to 480 frames per second. We'll test this out more thoroughly soon, so stay tuned. OnePlus plans on rolling out a software update that'll also enable the front-facing camera to take portrait pictures with blurred backgrounds too. Because it's a single-lens camera, however, the effect will be applied through software. Goodies for gamers and Android P beta. With its minimalist take on Android 8.1 Oreo, OnePlus kept the software mostly the same. You can now hide the on-screen hotkeys, including the home button, completely and navigate the phone using iPhone X-like gestures, including swiping up and holding for recent apps. If you play games on your phone though, there are some added bonuses. OnePlus added more tweaks to the phone's gaming mode setting. Josh Miller / CNET. On top of muting notifications during gameplay, you can now shift the network data usage of apps running in the background to maximize the intake of data your currently opened app or game is using. You can also choose to have games display in a low or high resolution to save battery, and you can disable auto brightness while gaming. And if you're interested in getting started with Google's upcoming OS update, the phone is one of the first few phones that can run Android P beta, along with the Google Pixel 2 and 2 XL and the Essential phone. The upcoming OS update supports navigational gestures, similar to the iPhone X, around a digital home button. It also uses artificial intelligence to predict what apps you don't use as frequently and optimizes battery life around those habits. OnePlus 6, Samsung Galaxy S9, Google Pixel 2, iPhone 10, LG G7. Think display size, resolution 6.28-inch OLED, 2280 by 1080 pixels, 5.8-inch OLED, 2960 by 1440 pixels, 5-inch OLED, 1920 by 1080 pixels, 5.8-inch OLED, 2436 by 1125 pixels, 6.1-inch IPS LCD, 3120 by 1440 pixels, pixel density 402p, 570p, 441p, 458p, 563p. Dimensions, inches, 6.13 by 2.97 by 0.31 in 5.81 by 2.70 by 0.33 in 5.7 by 2.7 by 0.3 in 5.7 by 2.79 by 0.30 in 6 by 2.8 by 0.31 in dimensions, millimeters, 155.7 by 75.4 by 7. 75 mm, 147.7 by 68.7 by 8. 5 mm, 145.7 by 69.7 by 7. 8 mm, 143.6 by 70.9 by 7. 7 mm, 153.2 by 71.9 by 7. 9 mm weight, ounces, grams, 6.2 ounces, 177 grams, 5.75 ounces, 163 grams, 5.04 ounces, 143 grams, 6.14 ounces, 174 grams, 5.7 ounces, 162 grams. Mobile software Android 8.1, Oreo Android 8.0, Oreo Android 8.1, Oreo iOS 11, Android 8.0, Oreo camera 16 megapixel standard, 20 megapixel telephoto, 12 megapixel, 12 megapixel dual, 12 megapixel dual, 16 megapixel front facing camera, 16 megapixel, 8 megapixel, 8 megapixel, 7 megapixel, 8 megapixel video capture, 4K, 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 4K processor, 2.8 GHz Qualcomm Snapdragon 845, Qualcomm Snapdragon 845 processor, 2.8 GHz plus 1.7 GHz, or Samsung Exynos 9810, 2.7 GHz plus 1.7 GHz, Qualcomm Snapdragon 835, Apple A11 Bionic 2.8 GHz, Qualcomm Snapdragon 845, storage 64 GB, 128 GB, 256 GB, 64 GB, 128 GB, 256 GB, 64 GB, 128 GB, 64 GB, 256 GB, 64 GB, RAM 6GB, 8 GB, 4 GB, 4 GB, 3 GB, 4 GB, expandable storage none, 400 GB none up to 2 TB, battery 3,300 mAh, 3,000 mAh, 2,700 mAh, 2,716 mAh, 3,000 mAh, fingerprint sensor, back of phone, back cover non, Face ID via true depth camera, back connector, USB-C, 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 Lightning, USB-C, headphone jack, yes no yes, special features, portrait mode, notifications toggle, dual SIM, dash charging, dual aperture camera, water resistant, IP68. super slow-mo video, wireless charging, iris scanning, Google Assistant, unlimited cloud storage, Daydream VR ready, water resistant, IP67, wireless Qi charge compatible, true depth front facing camera, adds Face ID for payments and enables front facing AR effects, water resistant, IP68, wireless charging, DTS:X 3D surround, quad DAC, price off contract, USD, $529, 64 gigabytes, $579, 128 gigabytes, $629, 256 gigabytes, varies, $720, $800, 64 gigabytes, $649, 64 gigabytes, $749, 128 gigabytes, $999, 64 gigabytes, $1,149, 256 gigabytes. TBA price, GBP, £469, 64 gigabytes, £519, 128 gigabytes, £569, 256 gigabytes, £739, 629, £64 gigabytes, £729, 128 gigabytes, £999, 64 gigabytes, £1,149, 256 gigabytes. TBA price, AUD, $700 Australian dollars, 64 gigabytes, 770 Australian dollars, 128 gigabytes, 835 Australian dollars, 256 gigabytes, converted 1,199 Australian dollars, 64 gigabytes, 1,349 Australian dollars, 256 gigabytes, 1,079 Australian dollars, 64 gigabytes, 1,229 Australian dollars, 128 gigabytes, 1,579 Australian dollars, 64 gigabytes, 1,829 Australian dollars, 256 gigabytes, TBA.